Have you ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels? Like you're working absolutely endlessly, putting out fires left and right, but somehow getting absolutely nowhere? Well, if that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to unpack some incredibly powerful ideas by looking at a factory on the absolute brink of disaster. We're going to dive into some fantastic stories to figure out how a few simple but really profound shifts in perspective managed to save the whole operation. Let's get right into it.
Picture this. It's 7:30 in the morning, and our story starts with incredibly high stakes. Plant manager Alex Rogo pulls into work expecting just another day, but instead he finds total chaos. And sitting right there in his reserved parking space is a crimson Mercedes. It belongs to his boss, Bill Peach, and Peach is not there for a friendly visit. A massive customer order is 7 weeks late. Their most expensive piece of equipment, this machine called the NCX-10, is completely broken down. The workers are furious. And right then and there, Peach delivers a ruthless ultimatum. Alex has exactly 3 months to turn this failing, money-bleeding plant around, or it gets shut down. Forever.
Now, this dramatic setup actually lies at the heart of Eliyahu Goldratt's revolutionary book, The Goal. And what's so cool about this is that instead of handing us a dry, boring textbook full of charts and endless equations, Goldratt uses stories. He wrote a thrilling business novel to explain incredibly complex management theories. By following Alex's high-pressure journey, we get to see these theories play out in real time, which makes them just so much easier to grasp and actually remember. So, stressed out of his mind and desperately searching for answers, Alex remembers this totally chance encounter. A while back, he was waiting between flights at O'Hare Airport, and he practically bumps into his old physics professor, Jonah. But here's the catch. Jonah isn't just teaching physics anymore. He's actually studying the science of organizations. And within minutes of catching up, Jonah correctly guesses that Alex's plant is struggling with late shipping dates and bloated inventories. It's kind of a mind-blowing moment that sets the stage for a massive shift in how Alex thinks.
Instead of just giving Alex the answers on a silver platter, Jonah uses the Socratic method. He asks him this simple but honestly profound question. When you see one of your workers standing idle with nothing to do, is that good or bad for the company? I mean, think about it yourself. Alex naturally assumes what most of us would, that it's always bad. But Jonah challenges this fundamental assumption. He plants the seed that keeping everyone constantly busy 100% of the time might actually be the very thing destroying the plant's efficiency.
To explain why this is, Jonah introduces a crucial concept called dependent events. Now, I know that sounds a bit technical, but it simply means that in any process, one step relies entirely on the one right before it, right? You can't assemble a product until the individual parts are actually manufactured. You can't ship an order until it's assembled. One thing absolutely must follow the other. It's like a giant chain reaction.
But that's only half the puzzle. The second concept he brings up is statistical fluctuations. Jonah shares this great little anecdote about a chef cooking an omelet. You might know roughly how long it takes a chef to cook that omelet, or how long a waiter takes to bring you the check, but you can never, ever predict it down to the exact second. It always fluctuates. And when you combine these unpredictable, fluctuating timings with dependent events, well, chaos naturally ensues on a factory floor.
This whole massive complex theory, it finally clicks for Alex during a weekend Boy Scout hike with his son. It's a total eureka moment. The reality of manufacturing literally plays out right in front of him on a muddy trail in the woods. Alex is watching this line of young scouts hiking single file, and he realizes, oh my gosh, this is exactly like my plant. It's a series of dependent events. They have to walk in a line, subject to statistical fluctuations, like kids stopping to tie their shoes or just slowing down to take a breath.
As the line of marching scouts stretches further and further out, Alex makes a brilliant connection. The growing gaps between the boys, that represents work-in-process inventory piling up. The fastest kids at the front are just zooming ahead, blazing down the trail. But the slowest kid, this boy named Herbie, is falling behind, just trudging along. The trail of kids is getting longer and longer, exactly like unfinished parts piling up on the factory floor waiting for the next machine.
And then it hits him. Alex realizes that Herbie is the bottleneck. Herbie's speed literally dictates the maximum speed of the entire troop. It literally doesn't matter how fast the kid at the front of the line walks, the troop as a whole can only get to the campsite as fast as Herbie can walk. So if you want to speed up the whole group, you don't speed up the fastest kids, you have to figure out a way to speed up Herbie.
Bringing this incredible realization back to the factory floor, the team goes on a high-stakes hunt for their own Herbies. Alex remembers that out on the trail, you could easily spot the slower kids by looking for the massive gaps on the trail in front of them. So, in the plant, It's the exact same logic. They simply look for the machines with the most work-in-process inventory. We're talking huge piles of parts just sitting in front of them, waiting to be processed.
Using this method, boom, they identify their two massive bottlenecks, that super expensive NCX-10 machine and the heat treat furnaces. And they realize a profound truth here. An hour lost on either of these bottleneck machines isn't just an hour lost for that specific department. No, it is an hour lost for the entire plant. Every single minute these specific machines are down, the entire factory is literally bleeding money.
This highlights a stark contrast between two very different mindsets. In the old cost world, the golden rule was that everyone must work constantly to maintain high efficiencies. Everybody look busy. But in this new throughput world, they realize that idle time on a non-bottleneck is actually perfectly fine. In fact, it's absolutely necessary. But idle time on a bottleneck? That is a complete disaster that drags down the whole company.
To keep their Herbies running, Alex and his team realize they have to completely break the old rules of efficiency. They dedicate full-time foremen exclusively to the bottlenecks. They stagger the workers' breaks so the machines literally never stop running. They even go as far as pulling old, antique machines out of retirement just to offload some of the work from the bottlenecks. They shift their entire focus from localized efficiencies, just making one area look good, to the overall flow of the whole system.
And you know what? It works. Having saved the plant by basically ignoring all the old common practices, the characters realize they can't just rely on gut instinct anymore. If the old accounting metrics, like making sure every localized worker was 100% efficient, were actually destroying the plant, what on earth replaces them? They realize they need a new fundamental system to measure success. They need to find a new way to order their world.
To figure this out, Ralph, the IT guy, tells a totally fascinating story about the Russian chemist Mendeleev. Before Mendeleev, scientists tried to categorize elements arbitrarily, by color, by shape, whether they were gas or solid, but Mendeleev looked deeper and created the periodic table. He uncovered the intrinsic order governing the elements. Ralph points out that the plan team has to do the exact same thing. They can't just arrange data arbitrarily to make reports look pretty. They have to uncover the actual intrinsic order governing their own business.
This search for intrinsic order leads Lou, the accountant, to nail down the three ultimate measurements that actually matter. First is throughput, which is simply the rate at which the system actually generates money through sales. Second is inventory, the money tied up in things they intend to sell. And third, operating expense, the money they have to spend to turn that inventory into throughput. These three metrics basically become their very own periodic table.
Through all of this chaos and discovery, Alex and his wife, Julie, realize that Jonah's Socratic method functions just like physics, or even ancient Greek philosophy. It all relies on if-then logic. You start with a fact, you raise a plausible hypothesis, and you use if-then statements to build order out of total chaos. It's really about peeling away those thick, stubborn layers of common practice to finally arrive at what is actually common sense.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to turn that lens on your own world. Look at your own organization, your side projects, even your daily tasks. Ask yourself, what fundamental assumptions, what common practices are actually holding you back right now? Have you identified the true bottlenecks in your workflow? Ask yourself, who or what is the Herbie dictating your ultimate success? Find your Herbie, and you just might change your entire world.